According to Sports Pro, Caitlin Clark is the fourth most marketable athlete in the world. Yeah, not just female athlete, not just in the United States, but in the entire world.
Did you see what just happened with Caitlin Clark? Because this wasn't just a contract signing, this was a cultural reset, a business earthquake, and a power play that flipped the table for women's sports forever. Caitlin Clark didn't just ink a deal. She made history. A $13 billion partnership with Wilson and Hyvee isn't just news, it's a revolution. For decades, endorsement deals for women in sports were an afterthought, buried in the back pages, treated like charity. But Clark just kicked that door down. Wilson, a brand that hasn't done a deal of this magnitude since they partnered with Michael Jordan in the 1980s, saw the spark in Clark and bet the house on her. And guess what? They were right. The moment they released her first signature, BASKET, boom, it sold out in under 40 minutes. Tens of thousands of fans grabbed every last one. That's not hype, that's impact. That's what happens when an athlete becomes a movement. And it's not just about basketballs. It's about branding, legacy, and timing. Wilson didn't just slap her name on a product, they built an entire collection, a full-on tribute to her journey from Iowa phenom to WNBA star, the Dreamer. And tribute editions of her ball aren't just collector's items, they're milestones in sports marketing. And here's where it gets even deeper. Hyvee, a Midwest grocery powerhouse pulling in over $13 billion a year, jumped in as well, but this isn't some cereal box sponsorship. This is strategic. This is bold. They didn't sign Caitlin Clark to smile in an ad. They helped build a brand around her, releasing exclusive basketballs, creating limited drops, donating to her foundation, backing her at every step. That's real partnership. That's investment. While other companies sat on the sidelines, Wilson and Hyvee went all in. And the fans, they showed up. They cleared shelves, flooded websites, crashed online stores. This is Caitlin Clark's moment. But it's also women's basketball's moment. And yet, while Wilson is changing the game, there's one major player that's gone silent. Nike, the very brand that once crowned icons, has completely dropped the ball on Clark. Sure, they gave her a $28 million deal, but where's the marketing? Where's the signature shoe? Where are the commercials, the billboards, the campaigns? Nothing. Radio silence. And fans, they're fed up. Clark's jersey sales skyrocketed by 500%, and still no shoe. Meanwhile, Nike is rumored to be prioritizing A'ja Wilson for her own shoe line, a phenomenal player, no doubt, but if we're talking pure market power, Clark is unmatched. She's the face of the league. She's the one breaking records, moving dominating headlines. And when Wilson, the company, gave her the Jordan-style treatment, people noticed. Because Caitlin Clark just became the first woman since Michael Jordan to have her own Wilson basketball. That's not just a big deal, that's history being written in real time. Wilson's head of global partnerships even said it themselves. We haven't done anything like this since Jordan. That's not a quote, that's a torch being passed. And while Wilson is taking risks and reaping the rewards, Nike's hesitation is baffling. They're sitting on a Ferrari and refusing to drive it. The world is watching, fans are waiting, and Caitlin Clark is ready. But Nike, they're nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, back on the court and behind the scenes, something else is brewing. A'ja Wilson, WNBA MVP, and league powerhouse, just inked a 6-year extension with Nike. And let's just say, the internet had thoughts. Was it a response to Clark's explosive rise? Was it strategic or reactive? Fans are split. Some are calling it smart. Others are calling it jealousy. But here's the truth. The women's game is changing fast, and brands that don't keep up will get left behind. Wilson and Hyvee understood the moment. Nike, they're still looking for it. So as Caitlin Clark continues to redefine what's possible, not just for herself, but for every athlete who comes after her, one thing is certain. This isn't just about basketball. This is about legacy, leverage, and leading the way. And Caitlin Clark, she's doing all three. The thing is, Caitlin Clark isn't just a generational talent on the court. She's an economic force. A walking brand, a marketing juggernaut. Every pass, every shot, every press conference, it all draws eyes, sells out arenas, and builds a cultural wave that businesses dream of riding. And Wilson, they didn't wait for the world to figure that out. They acted. When they dropped her signature basketball, it wasn't just a product, it was a statement, a signal to the entire sports industry that women's sports are not just having a moment, they are the moment. They made a bold move, and the fans answered with their wallets. It's rare to see a product fly off shelves in seconds. It's even rarer when that product is a basketball. Not shoes, not jerseys, not tech. A basketball that speaks volumes. This wasn't just Caitlin Clark fans buying a souvenir. This was a community rallying behind a symbol of change. And the fact that Wilson launched multiple editions, Dreamer, Tribute, more on the way, shows they're building not just a product line, but a full-fledged empire around Clark's influence. Meanwhile, Hy-Vee isn't playing small either. This isn't the kind of brand that's known for flashy athlete deals. They're a grocery giant, a Midwest staple. But with Caitlin Clark, they've stepped far outside their lane and straight into the spotlight. Exclusive drops. Special donations to her foundation. Immersive promotions. They're doing what many sports brands should have done. They've made themselves part of the story, and in doing so, they've earned the loyalty of Clark's fan base. That loyalty translates to revenue. Every collab they've done with Clark has sold out, and fans are still begging for more. They're not just buying products, they're buying into Clark's journey. But here's where it all gets even more fascinating. As Clark rises, the silence from Nike becomes deafening. You have arguably the most talked about athlete in America, a media darling, a ratings magnet, and a walking headline, and what has Nike done? Crickets. Nothing. No commercial, no jersey rollout, no viral campaign, and still no shoe. It's almost surreal. Imagine being Nike and watching Wilson, a ball manufacturer, get all the buzz, all the press, all the sales. It's not just a missed opportunity, it's borderline brand malpractice. People aren't just confused, they're furious. Nike gave Caitlin Clark a $28 million deal and then did nothing with it. It's like buying the rights to a blockbuster movie and never releasing it. The fan base is watching, and they're losing patience. Meanwhile, A'ja Wilson, who absolutely deserves recognition as one of the most dominant players in the WNBA today, gets extended by Nike, a 6-year deal, and suddenly the comparisons begin. But let's be real, this isn't about who's better on the court, it's about market power. And right now, Caitlin Clark moves product in ways that the league hasn't seen, maybe ever. If Clark and Wilson both dropped a signature shoe on the same day, every marketing expert knows what would happen. Clark's would outsell it 101. That's not disrespect. That's data. She's the face of the league. Her games are breaking viewership records. Her merch is shattering sales records. And yet, Nike sits still while Wilson and Hy-Vee build the foundation of a legacy brand. It's the kind of marketing blunder that people will look back on and say, what were they thinking? But here's the part that truly stings. Caitlin Clark is doing all of this while still being a rookie. That's how unprecedented this is. She's already shifting the conversation, not just in the WNBA, but in global sports business. She was just ranked the 4th most marketable athlete in the world, right behind LeBron James and ahead of nearly every male athlete on the planet. That kind of ranking isn't a fluke, it's the result of massive public interest and undeniable value. You've got men, women, kids, teens, grandparents, people from every demographic, watching her, buying her gear, talking about her story. She's not just playing the game, she's redefining it. And still, Nike refuses to hand her the keys. While brands like Wilson are making the most of every opportunity, Nike's response feels slow, outdated, and completely disconnected from the moment. And now, with A'ja Wilson's new Nike deal hitting headlines, the fan base is more divided than ever. Some say Nike is doing the right thing by backing a veteran like Wilson. Others say it's a petty reaction to Clark's overwhelming success. But regardless of where you stand, one thing is crystal clear. The future of women's sports is shifting rapidly, and not every brand is ready to keep up. Caitlin Clark is setting the standard, and only the bold are benefiting from it. And as this all plays out in real time, something deeper is happening, something far beyond product launches and sponsorship deals. The culture is shifting. Fans aren't just watching games anymore. They're invested in the movement. They're tuned in to every headline, every press release, every brand activation. The rise of Caitlin Clark has awakened something in women's basketball that's been waiting to explode for years, and now it's unstoppable. Every time she steps on the court, she breaks another record. Every time her name trends, merch flies off the shelves. And still, the world watches Nike do nothing. It's wild, really. You've got Wilson basketballs going out of stock within 40 minutes. Not once, not twice, but consistently. And meanwhile, Nike's biggest move has been silenced. No rollout, no shoe, no jersey campaign. The fans have taken notice. In fact, they've made their voices louder than ever. Online forums, TikTok, YouTube, Reddit, everywhere you look. People are asking the same question. Where is the Caitlin Clark shoe? Because when Paige Buecher's a talented athlete, sure, lands her own Nike shoe before the most talked about name in basketball, people start doing math. And it doesn't add up. You've got one of the most marketable athletes on the planet, male or female, and the world's largest athletic brand is leaving her on the bench. It feels like Nike is playing not to lose, while everyone else around Caitlin Clark is playing to win. And then you have A'ja Wilson, whose 6th-year extension with Nike drops at a very, let's say, interesting time. The timing couldn't be more obvious. Right on the heels of Clark's brand explosion, Wilson, a 3-time MVP and undeniably a dominant force in the league, is being positioned as Nike's priority, and while many fans respect her accomplishments, it's clear that this move didn't come out of strategy. It came out of reaction. Social media was split in two. Some praised the deal. Others called it a panic extension, claiming Nike was trying to cover up the gaping hole left by their failure to capitalize on Clark. And honestly, those voices aren't wrong to be skeptical, because while Nike is still working on the politics of who gets what and when, Wilson and Hy-Vee are simply they're building something tangible. Real products, real sales, real momentum. That's what the fans see. That's what they respond to. They don't care who signed first, or who got more MVPs. They care about who's moving the culture. And right now, that's Caitlin Clark. She's not just breaking records, she's creating a blueprint. Every company that partners with her is making money. Every brand that bets on her is winning big. And every fan who buys her basketballs, jerseys, and merch is doing it not just because she's great, but because she represents something. A shift, a hope, a new era in sports. And still, Nike hesitates. Still, they second guess. While Wilson and Hy-Vee continue to build a brand, Nike's playing defense. And the worst part, it didn't have to be this way. Caitlin Clark's team gave them everything they needed, the popularity, the production, the personality. And yet, the company that once made icons out of Serena Williams, LeBron James, and Michael Jordan can't figure out what to do with the most marketable female athlete in a generation. That's not just disappointing, it's embarrassing. And to make matters even more tense, the perception among fans is starting to shift toward resentment. Not just toward Nike, but toward A'ja Wilson herself. Not because of anything she did wrong, but because of how the narrative is being shaped. Fans are accusing Nike of pushing her forward out of jealousy, not merit. They're labeling her extension a pity deal, saying she only got it because Clark's influence is too massive to ignore anymore. That's an unfair position for A'ja to be in, but it's also a direct result of Nike's mishandling. Instead of creating a win-win situation for both stars, Nike has turned it into a battle, a comparison war, where one woman's success is seen as a threat to the others. That's not how this was supposed to go. Caitlin Clark's rise should have lifted everyone. Instead, Nike's inaction has created friction, mistrust, and confusion. Meanwhile, Wilson, the company, and Hy-Vee continue to ride the wave. They're not making excuses, they're making sales. And fans, they're voting with their wallets. They're showing love to the brands that showed up early, believed in Clark from day one, and helped build something real. And that's the biggest message here. In the new age of athlete marketing, timing, trust, and action matter more than ever. Wilson understood it. Hy-Vee understood it. Nike, still figuring it out. What makes all of this even more is that Caitlin Clark isn't just letting brands build around her. She's actively co-authoring her legacy. This isn't some athlete signing papers behind the scenes while her agent runs the show. No, Clark is hands-on. She's shaping every drop, every campaign, every collaboration. That's why every Wilson basketball release feels intentional. It's not just a product with her name slapped on it. It's a piece of her journey. The Dreamer Edition that speaks to her college days, the belief she carried, the dreams she turned into records. The Tribute Ball. That's about her fans. Her roots, the people who rode the highs and lows with her from Iowa to the pros. This is storytelling through product, and it works. Fans don't just buy it, they feel it. That's the genius of Caitlin Clark's brand. It doesn't just sell, it connects. It turns followers into believers and customers into lifelong supporters. Now compare that to the way Nike has handled its side of the court. The optics couldn't be more different. Wilson took a swing no one else dared, offering Clark her own product line, the first since Michael Jordan to do it with them. That's not just big, that's legendary. They made a bet, and it paid off tenfold. And yet, Nike, the biggest sports brand in the world, hesitated. Why? Was it a fear of giving a rookie too much too fast? Was it internal politics? Maybe they didn't want to overshadow their existing athletes like A'ja Wilson, a player who's given everything to the league and absolutely deserves her flowers. But here's where it gets tricky. When you delay action in the name of balance, you lose timing, and timing is everything. A'ja Wilson's 6-year extension with Nike might have made headlines, but not the kind Nike wanted. Instead of celebration, it stirred debate. People saw it as a countermove, a PR chess piece dropped to shift focus away from what Wilson, the company, had just pulled off with Clark. Fans, sharp as ever, weren't buying it. They pointed out how A'ja's MVP season felt almost overshadowed by Clark's brand explosion. That's not A'ja's fault. She's one of the best to ever do it, but Nike's strategy made it look like the brand was scrambling, reacting instead of leading. And now, you've got two of the WNBA's biggest names caught in a marketing storm neither of them started. On one side, Caitlin Clark, breaking records, selling out merchandise, ranking top 5 globally in marketability, and still waiting for Nike to launch anything. On the other, A'ja Wilson, a dominant force with MVPs under her belt, whose long-awaited signature deal is now being questioned for why it happened, not just what it means. That's the real tragedy here, because this could have been a moment for both athletes. A unified campaign, a dual rollout. Imagine it, the rookie phenom and the reigning MVP, side by side, representing a new era for women's basketball, a new standard for athlete branding. But instead, what we got is silence from Nike, movement from Wilson Sporting Goods, and a fan base that feels like it has to pick a side. That's not progress, that's poor planning. Meanwhile, Clark keeps showing up not just in arenas, but in every space that matters. Foundation work, interviews, fan events. Her name is everywhere, and it's not just hype. She's earned it. She's built a brand in real time, without waiting for permission. And let's not forget, she's still a rookie. Most athletes take years to get this level of brand power. And here she is, moving products faster than anyone in the league. The Wilson basketballs, gone in 40 minutes. Her college jersey, still one of the top sellers. Her social media mentions, off the charts. And through it all, her image remains clean, sharp, and powerful. That's brand gold. And every day Nike doesn't act on it, someone else does. Hy-Vee, for example, continues to show us what real investment looks like. Their partnership isn't flashy in the traditional sports sense, but it's meaningful. It feels personal. They were there during her Iowa days. They're here now in the pros, and they're not backing down. They made a donation to her foundation, a symbolic $35,690, representing her career points, and fans felt that gesture. It wasn't marketing fluff, it was genuine. And in a world where every brand is fighting for authenticity, Caitlin Clark has surrounded herself with partners who actually understand her value. That's not luck. That's smart branding. That's long-term thinking. That's how you build legacy, not just stats on paper, but emotional resonance. That's why Caitlin Clark isn't just a basketball player. She's a brand, a business, a movement, and she's still just getting started. And now, the question echoing across the entire sports industry is this: is Caitlin Clark the athlete, or is she the architect? Because what we're watching unfold isn't just one player elevating the game. It's one woman rewriting the entire playbook for how female athletes are branded, marketed, and positioned in the world of sports business. Every generation has that one figure who doesn't just dominate, they disrupt. Michael Jordan did it with sneakers. Serena did it with power. LeBron did it with media. And now Caitlin Clark is doing it with strategy. She's not waiting for gatekeepers to tell her she's ready. She's already outpacing the system, while others are still debating her rookie status. She's busy showing everyone what modern influence looks like, not just on the court, but in retail stores, boardrooms, TV deals, and brand alignments. She's proving that a female athlete can be both elite and commercially unstoppable, and that's shaking up everything. Wilson and Hy-Vee saw it first. They weren't concerned with checking boxes or worrying about who came before. They looked at Caitlin Clark and said, "She's the future. Let's move now." And that's exactly what they did. Now they're reaping the rewards, not just financially, but culturally. Every Wilson x Clark drop becomes an event. Every Hy-Vee promo featuring Clark connects with fans. That's not marketing luck, that's timing, vision, and trust. And that's what Nike seems to be missing entirely. Because in the middle of all this momentum, they're the only brand that seems to be stuck. They've got a superstar on their roster, but it's like they're too afraid to pull the trigger. Too focused on keeping internal politics balanced. too hesitant to disrupt their traditional playbook. But this isn't the era for caution, it's the era of cultural connection. And Wilson, a ball brand, somehow got there first. Let that sink in. The company that literally makes basketballs beat Nike, the sports marketing giant, to the biggest opportunity in women's basketball history. That's not just a PR loss, that's a full-on power shift. And the fans aren't just noticing, they're reacting. They're moving away from brands that wait and toward brands that move. And in that shift, Caitlin Clark becomes more than just a player. She becomes a symbol, a line in the sand, a moment that future athletes will look back on and say, that's when everything changed. And right beside her, whether people like it or not, is A'ja Wilson, a player whose greatness should never be in question, but who now finds herself in the shadow of a branding war she didn't ask for. It's unfair, it's messy, and it's complicated. Because what's happening isn't just about money or marketing, it's about representation. It's about how female athletes are seen and valued by the brands who claim to champion them. And when Nike delays a shoe for Caitlin Clark while quietly extending Wilson without any real rollout, no fanfare, no vision, it sends a message. A message that they're playing it safe while the rest of the world moves forward. The WNBA is finally at a cultural crossroads. The viewership is climbing. The merch is flying. The headlines are no longer an afterthought. This is the moment women's basketball has been waiting for, and Caitlin Clark is the one holding the torch. So when fans ask, where is the shoe? It's not just about rubber soles and laces. It's about respect. It's about recognition. It's about believing that the woman breaking records in front of millions deserves the same kind of platform the men get. And not in 5 years. Now, because this generation isn't asking anymore. They're demanding. They've seen what happens when an athlete like Clark is given the keys. They've seen how quickly products move, how deeply fans engage, and how powerful her influence is across demographics. This isn't a women's sports issue anymore. This is a business case, and anyone not paying attention is already losing. So now, here we are in the middle of a marketing revolution, and it's being led by a 22-year-old rookie from Iowa, who's already doing what legends needed decades to build. Caitlin Clark isn't just having a moment, she's building a movement. And every brand that's working with her, Wilson, Hy-Vee, Gatorade, State Farm, they're not just betting on her, they're joining something bigger, something cultural, something generational. Because Clark represents more than stats and highlights, she represents the modern female athlete, bold, marketable, intelligent, and connected to her audience in a way that no brand campaign can fake. Fans don't just cheer for her, they trust her. And in a market where trust equals influence, Clark's value can't even be measured in contracts anymore. It's measured in impact. Measured in how fast a product sells out. Measured in the way kids mimic her jump shot. Measured in how the crowd noise shifts when she touches the ball. That's the kind of influence you can't buy, you have to build it. And while she's building it, brick by brick, brand by brand, we're all watching something we rarely get to witness in real time, the beginning of a true sports icon. And what's even more powerful is that she's doing it without waiting for the big names to catch up. Nike still hasn't launched a shoe, still hasn't dropped a signature jersey, still hasn't run the campaign we all expected. And now, it might be too late, because Clark's story is already being written, and Wilson, Hy-Vee, and every fan who's been here since day one are part of that story. And that's the lesson. In 2025, legacy doesn't begin when the league says it does. It starts when the people say it does. When fans decide someone matters, when kids wear your name, when a basketball sells out in 40 minutes because people feel what it means. That's what Caitlin Clark has done. She's turned fan connection into a force. She's turned product launches into events. She's turned corporate partnerships into cultural markers. She's not just the face of a team or a brand, she's the face of what's next. And what's next isn't coming, it's already here. Because Clark has proved that you don't need to wait until you've won 5 MVPs or 10 championships to be valuable. You just need to be authentic, be present, and be powerful in your story. And while some brands are still stuck in the old system waiting, doubting, overthinking, the new game is being played in real time, in real markets, with real fans. This isn't theoretical anymore. The numbers are here. The headlines are constant. The demand is real. And Caitlin Clark, she's meeting the moment head on. Every dribble, every three-pointer, every press conference, every foundation move. It's all part of a narrative that's bigger than basketball. It's about belief. It's about showing what happens when someone dares to go first, and a few visionary companies actually say yes. It's not perfect, it's not without pushback, but it's happening, right now. And in 20 years, when people ask where the shift in women's sports really began, not just in visibility, but in power, in marketing, in ownership, the answer is going to be simple. It began with a player named Caitlin Clark, and it began the moment someone handed her a purple and gold Wilson basketball, and she sold out history in under an hour. But the story doesn't end with one sold-out ball or a viral drop. In fact, this is where the stakes get higher. Because when you've captured the world's attention, the question becomes, what will you do with it now? And Caitlin Clark, true to form, isn't slowing down. She's leaning in. Every game she plays, every media appearance she gives, every move she makes is being watched, not just by fans, but by brands, networks, executives, and young girls dreaming bigger than ever before. This is more than just a hot streak. It's a new bar, a new model. Because for so long, the ceiling for women athletes was artificially low. They were told to be grateful for scraps, a spot in a shoe commercial, a minor merch line, a 2-minute segment during halftime. But Caitlin Clark, she broke through that ceiling like it never existed. She said, "I'm not here to be featured, I'm here to be the main event." And that confidence paired with results is changing how the business world looks at women's sports. Just a few years ago, a $13 million partnership for a WNBA rookie would have been unimaginable. Now, it's the new standard. And Clark is just the beginning. She's opening the door so wide that it won't ever close again. And let's be clear, this isn't about handing out deals to anyone who's popular. This is about performance, connection, and brand power. And that's why Clark is different. She's earned every dollar, every endorsement, every headline, not just with her scoring, but with her vision. She understands how to be a product, a personality, and a professional, all at once. And her partners, Wilson, Hy-Vee, State Farm, they're not just throwing money at her, they're building with her, co-creating, collaborating, launching limited editions that mean something, supporting her foundation, telling stories through basketballs, through design, through community. And that's what makes this moment so special. It's not just about Caitlin Clark's success, it's about how that success is being built. Because when you do it the right way, with authenticity, alignment, and long-term thinking, the impact goes beyond the WNBA. College sports, youth leagues, high schools, middle schools. Every girl with a dream sees this and realizes it's possible. You can be the face. You can sell the product. You can lead the change. And that ripple effect is already being felt. Young fans aren't just wearing Clark's jersey, they're writing her name in notebooks, picking up her signature ball at practice, asking for her highlights on YouTube. She's not just shaping today, she's shaping tomorrow. And again, while some companies stood still, others jumped in and moved with her. That's why Wilson's risk is looking more and more like genius. They bet on a rookie with a college following and turned her into a signature brand. They didn't just license her name, they handed her a platform, and she took it and ran. They built basketballs that told a story, not just about the game, but about her, about believing, dreaming, rising, and the people responded, not because of marketing tricks, but because it felt real. And now, as Wilson and Hy-Vee expand, the rollout, talk about future lines, future activations, and future givebacks. They're not just seen as companies, they're seen as pioneers. They led the way when everyone else hesitated. And now, everyone else is trying to catch up. Nike, in particular, is in a spotlight they didn't ask for, but one they absolutely earned, because they've been here before. They've seen what it means to bet on greatness early. They did it with MJ, they did it with Serena. They knew what that blueprint looked like, and somehow, with Caitlin Clark, they missed it, or worse, ignored it. And the backlash. It's not just frustration, it's disappointment. Because fans expected Nike to lead. They wanted that shoe. They waited for that campaign, and when it never came, they started looking elsewhere. And you know what? They found it in Wilson, in Hy-Vee, in the underdogs who believed early. That's the irony of it all. The smaller brands took the biggest swing, and now, they're winning the biggest game. The ripple effect of Caitlin Clark's rise and these groundbreaking partnerships is shaking the entire sports industry. You can feel it in the conversations, the boardrooms buzzing, the marketing meetings scrambling to rethink their strategies. The social media feeds exploding with debate. Suddenly, the question is no longer if women's basketball can deliver huge returns, but how fast can the rest of the market catch up? And make no mistake, the pressure is on. Every brand watching Clark's success knows they can't afford to sit on the sidelines any longer. They see the sold-out basketballs, the viral content, the passionate fan base, and the surge in jersey sales. They see an athlete who transcends sport and becomes a symbol for a generation demanding equality, visibility, and respect. This isn't just about basketball anymore, it's about cultural relevance, brand loyalty, and being part of something historic. But here's the catch. Not everyone's playing fair or smart. While Wilson and Hy-Vee are innovating, launching limited edition product lines, and actively supporting Clark's foundation, some of the industry giants seem stuck in old playbook. Nike's silence on Clark's signature shoe and lack of promotional efforts have left fans confused and frustrated. How could a company that thrives on athlete partnerships let this opportunity slip through its fingers? It's a move that's being called out by insiders and fans alike as a huge missed opportunity, especially considering Clark's sky-high marketability and record-breaking jersey sales. Even more intriguing is the dynamic with A'ja Wilson, another rising WNBA star who recently secured a lengthy contract extension with Nike. While Wilson's deal is significant, many fans and analysts question whether it really matches Clark's current market impact and visibility. The rivalry between Clark and Wilson extends beyond the court, sparking debates about who truly leads the future of women's basketball endorsements. And while Wilson is making strides, including successful product drops that sell out fast, it's clear that Clark has struck a nerve with fans and brands alike. This tug-of-war isn't just about contracts or shoes, it's about who defines the next era of women's sports. And in that fight, Clark is clearly setting the pace. But beyond the drama and the contracts, there's something more important at stake. This moment is about the future of women's sports marketing, about breaking barriers and rewriting the rules of athlete endorsements. It's about proving that female athletes can generate billions in revenue and cultural capital, not just for themselves, but for their leagues and communities. It's about showing the world that women's sports aren't niche, they're mainstream, powerful, and here to stay. Caitlin Clark's story is proof that when talent meets opportunity, and brands show courage, the results can be explosive. And as more companies take notice and invest, the entire landscape of women's sports is being transformed. From local gyms to global brands, from fan bases to future stars. The question now is simple. Who will rise to meet this moment? Who will be next to sign a revolutionary deal? And who will fall behind, stuck in old ways, while the game keeps moving forward? Because one thing is clear, the future of women's sports is bright, and it's being shaped right now. One signature deal, one sold-out basketball, and one inspired fan at a time. For fans, this isn't just about buying a basketball or wearing a jersey, it's about being part of a movement. It's about witnessing history unfold live. When you pick up a Caitlin Clark signature ball or see her featured in a major ad campaign, you're not just supporting a player, you're supporting the future of women's sports. Young girls see a path they didn't see before. They see that basketball isn't just a game, it's a career, a brand, a platform. For future players, Clark's success is a beacon proof that hard work and talent can lead to big contracts, national partnerships, and a global stage. It's also a call to action for leagues and sponsors. Invest in these athletes early, support them authentically, and watch the returns grow exponentially. The message is clear. Women's basketball is not a niche market. It's a thriving, dynamic industry with massive potential, and it's ready for big investments, innovative marketing, and groundbreaking deals. Caitlin Clark and her partners have proven it. But this momentum isn't guaranteed to last without continued support. The brands that jumped in early are seeing the rewards, but they also carry a responsibility. They have to keep innovating, keep listening to fans, and keep lifting up the athletes. The ones who rest on their laurels or underestimate the market will get left behind. And for athletes, this moment is empowering. It shows that being great on the court is just the start. Building a brand, engaging with fans, and collaborating with forward-thinking companies is now part of the game. It's a new era where athletes aren't just players, they're entrepreneurs, influencers, and change makers. Caitlin Clark embodies that perfectly. She's more than just a top scorer. She's a leader reshaping what's possible. And for those watching closely, the lesson is loud and clear. Be bold, be smart, and never underestimate the power of women's sports. The foundation laid by Clark in these partnerships isn't just for today, it's a legacy for tomorrow. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button on our Baseline Queens YouTube channel. Your support means everything and helps us bring you the best content on women's basketball and the WNBA. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more.